Hello, my name is Mary Jane Hughes, and today I'm going to discuss with you the Lufthansa campaign known as Are You Klaus Heidi that was produced in December of 2013. A little background knowledge is that Lufthansa was founded in 1926 but dissolved in 1951, and then a new company known as Lufttag bought everything from them, the trademark, the colors, the name, in 1954 in order to redo some of the principles that the first owners of Lufthansa set in place. Today, Lufthansa Group is an airline of 540 subsidiaries and associated companies operating worldwide. In this most recent financial year of 2017, the Lufthansa Group generated revenue of about 35.6 billion euros and employed an average of around 130,000 staff members. The objective for Lufthansa is to be the first choice in the aviation sector for clients, employees, shareholders, and partners alike. Moving on to the SWOT analysis, some of the strengths include good brand positioning, world-leading aviation services, multiple hubs in Europe. Unfortunately, some of the weaknesses include strained industrial relations, a high cost base, which comes with any issues they're having with the industrial relations, which includes a higher price in steel, and then selective protectionism. But on the upside, some of the opportunities include a change in culture, both internal and externally. They're participating in integration, and they're also searching for new lower cost platforms to make flying more accessible to more people. Some of the threats include both Gulf competition and LLCC competition, such as British Airways, which Lufthansa continuously fights against for the lower cost, and they're also known to be slow to change. Moving on to the host country's political system, the host country is Sweden, and they are a parliamentary democracy similar to UK's democracy. They hold general elections every 4 years, and about 7 million people are entitled to vote, which influences the political parties that represent the Riksdag, which is the Swedish parliament. And people can also influence Swedish politics in other ways, such as taking part in referendums, joining a political party, or commenting on reports presented by the government. There are four fundamental laws that make up the Constitution, and these include the Instrument of Government, the Act of Succession, the Freedom of the Press Act, and the fundamental laws of freedom and of expression. Looking at the host country's corruption index, they rank about 4 out of 176, and they score an 88 out of 100. So their corruption levels are quite low when compared to other countries that are located nearby. So now looking at the economic development, they are an export-oriented economy. So their economy is aided by timber, hydropower, and iron ore. They're really big into foreign trade. They trade in major industries, including motor vehicles, telecommunication, precision equipment, home goods, appliances, iron, and steel. They have a mixed economy, so there's a generous universal welfare state financed relatively by high income taxes that ensure that income is distributed equally across the entire society. And this model is called the Nordic model, and their GDP runs about 511 billion US dollars. Looking at Sweden's media system, they have a literacy rate of 99%, and freedom of the press is very important to Swedes. It's one of the 4 pillars in their constitution, and when you look at their press and internet freedom status, they are registered as free. Traditional media mainly includes radio and television, which is really widely used throughout Sweden. Later on, you'll see in the internet presentation how important traditional media is when compared to the other type of media, which is social media. And so many Swedes use magazines. There's a wide readership for membership magazines. And then main platforms for social media include Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, which are also very prevalent, and we'll talk about a little bit later. Looking at the media and internet penetration, you can see that the internet ranks about 83% out of 100%. So a lot of individuals in Sweden use the internet, and then slowly behind television, and then directly behind television is radio. So those are basically the top three types of media that Sweden's taken every single day. And then this just shows a deeper breakdown of the internet. So social media is also very big, about 62% of people use it. And then falling slowly behind includes online traditional media, music downloads like Spotify, and video clips, online TV, and video games also are very popular. Moving on to the host country's culture, they're also known as the Kingdom of Sweden. They have a population of about 9 million people, and they're located between Finland and Norway, and they border places like the Baltic Sea. Their capital is Stockholm, and the ethnic makeup is very mixed in culture, and I'll talk more about that later. Their religion, the main religion is Lutheran, and their official language is Swedish. Moving on to the demographics, about 86 of individuals live in urban areas, and then their population is also separated in three different genres, which is 0 to 14 years old, that's about 17% of the population, 15 through 64 years old, which is about 63% of the population, and then 65 years and above, which is 20% of the population. For every 99.93 males, there are 100 females, so females outweigh males by just a bit. Looking into the psychographics, Swedes are egalitarian, which means relating to or believing in the principles that all people are equal and deserve equal rights and opportunities. They also think, like, one part of being an egalitarian, you are very honest and humble and are known for thinking that boasting is unacceptable. Another part of their life or behavior is strongly balanced towards lagom, which also means everything in moderation. Excess, flashiness, and boasting are abhorrent in Sweden, and individuals strive towards the middle way. For example, work hard and play hard is really popular in America, but is not a common concept in Sweden. Another big part about their psychographic is that family is very important. The rights of children are well protected. A couple of their rights include that either a mother or father is entitled to be absent from work until their child reaches 18 months old, or that they have the right to reduce their workload by 25% until their child reaches 8 years old. And this is formally to get ready for school. One of my favorite rules that they have is that anyone traveling to Sweden will notice that they have a very family-friendly environment, and that most restaurants and other such establishments are very kid-friendly. Even trains have toys and play areas. Looking at the Hofstede dimensions, their power distance, they received a score of 31 out of 10. Individualism, their framework was a score of 71 out of 10. So one of the bigger ones that shocked me was masculinity, which is the feminine society dimension with a score of 5 out of 100. And so that kind of connects with the cultural normality of lagom. Like I said, everything is in moderation. And so nothing too much, nothing too little. And you'll notice that this is a very common Scandinavian concept, that people try not to boast or lift themselves above others. The uncertainty avoidance is very low, 29 out of 100. And so typically in those societies, they maintain a more relaxed attitude towards practice counts or more than principles, and deviance from the norms are more easily tolerated. And then looking at the long-term or orientation, they fall directly in the middle, so there's not a distinct point of view. And then indulgence, they're a very fun-loving society with a score of 78 out of 100. So the primary publics for Sweden is older millennials, specifically travelers that are seeking an adventure within the heart of Europe. That's an age range between 25 and 32, and they're typically middle income consumers. The secondary publics include young travelers finding a passion for traveling, and hopefully saving for future plans. And that age range is about 18 to 24. They're typically a lower income because they're just starting off in their careers. Looking at their objectives, specifically their output objectives, their goal is to influence the media to broadcast this competition for a brand new life, which is sponsored by Lufthansa, which wants to be portrayed as an adventurous company. They also want to promote the brand through multiple forms of media, which showcase their new marketing promotion, Are You Klaus Heidi? And then some of the input objectives was to increase awareness of the brand through social media to promote not only their low price, high value perspective of the company, but to also increase the sales of the flights from Stockholm to Berlin. Moving on to the timetable, Are You Klaus Heidi launched during late summer, early fall, and this campaign was online and produced major buzz. So a little background of what Are You Klaus Heidi was that Lufthansa gave their target population of the country of Sweden the opportunity, if they changed their last name, they would win a free life in Berlin, Germany. And I'll discuss more about what you get in that free life later on. But it was a really big deal. And the timetable included, towards the end, they made a selection and they began to decide out of 42 individuals who changed their name to Klaus Heidi who would be the lucky winner. And then around December 16th of 2013, you got to meet the new Klaus Heidi, which is this lovely guy to the right, who's biting his brand new set of keys to his brand new home, and his name is Klaus Heidi Anderson. So some of the theme and key messages, the main theme was that Klaus Heidi is selling a dream instead of just a cheap ticket to Berlin. Some of the requirements included that you not only change your name to Klaus Heidi, but write an essay explaining why you did so and why you want to be the next Klaus Heidi. There were a total of 41 runners up, and they received elite flyer status and about 60,000 miles to use anywhere in the world. And then the key message is that with a new life, you have new possibilities. And so you got an intense German training course, free housing for a year, custom new bike. Lufthansa really wanted you to imagine the unthinkable and see their company in a new light. Some of their special events and actions, their main one after promoting their competition and their new campaign online, their only main special event included when they brought all the 42 finalists to Berlin to announce the winner. And so once you could prove that your name was changed, they decided to fly you in to verify you, and then you would be officially entered into the contest. Now, looking at the media channels, social media played a big part in this campaign, and I'll talk more about that later, but specifically Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube were really important. And then also they did this television takedown, which is where multiple European media outlets cover this campaign and the competition. So the implementation was strongly used in social media. So a lot of the research I did called it special social media because it just became unbelievable. You would see it on every single outlet, every single platform, from Twitter to people making YouTube videos about this. It was very, very popular in Europe at the time. And then many media outlets decided to broadcast and talk about it, whether it be on your local TV or international television. Many people were discussing it on television and on the radio as well. Now going a bit deeper into the circuit of culture, so Lufthansa campaign provided young adults entering the next stage of life the opportunity to integrate into a new society where they had another opportunity to become a new version of themselves. Representation, Lufthansa promoted their campaign and flights through a viral competition that promoted the chance for a new life in Berlin. Some of the consumption, the audiences wanted to become the next Klaus Heidi production. The contest was a massive success and led to an individual discovering a new life in Central Europe. And then part of the regulation was that Lufthansa promoted both the campaign but also the exciting new environment that the airline could provide you with. So looking at the evaluation, this was definitely a worldwide phenomenon. There were 42 individuals in Sweden that changed their name to Klaus Heidi. Major news outlets covered this campaign in over 30 countries, and more than 240 million media impressions. Like I said earlier, social media played a huge part in this campaign. There's a large jump on Google for individuals searching Lusania.com to both look for the Are You Klaus Heidi campaign, but also to research more about flights. And then the key takeaway from this is that Lufthansa really made an emotional connection. The changes in the psychographics in the 1980s in Sweden showed a large shift of the Swedish population changing their last names to sound less traditional, and that's something that Lufthansa really focused on, and they used that captivating quality of a fresh start to grab the public's attention. In the marketing video described the attachment to the name and what that means and how a new one could bring new possibilities. Summary of case. Let's talk about the big prize. Lufthansa challenged the population of Sweden to change their name to Klaus Heidi for the chance to begin a new life in Berlin, Germany, with free housing, transportation, no travel expenses, and the winner of this luxury trip would have an entire year in Berlin to master the language and become immersed in the culture. Lufthansa had the goal to increase traffic from Stockholm to Sweden and use Sweden's cultural perspective of no emotional attachment to names as their target population. After 42 finalists were chosen to come to Berlin, one lucky finalist won the journey of a lifetime in December of 2013. Last but not least, my specific recommendations overall, their major goal was met. It being a private company, there's not much research on how much it changed in 2013, but Lufthansa, they really wanted to push their opportunities into strengths, and in doing so, like I said earlier, there was a lot of buzz. Over 30 media outlets were talking about them. Over around 250 million media impressions. It was really popular for quite some time and really built that international presence. So my main recommendation is that they should have used a figure in their campaign. The original media that they used, including the video that they produced on YouTube, was not very specific and slightly vague and was really hard to follow, but did somehow capture the attention of the target population in Sweden and made a lasting impression. Thank you for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful day.